You know, we're surrounded by brands every single day. But have you ever stopped to think about what separates the ones we forget from the ones we truly trust, maybe even love? Well, it turns out it's not just about a cool logo. It's about building something much, much deeper. A force that shapes not only businesses, but our own choices too. Let's get into it.
So let's start with the big question. What is a brand, really? Is it just the swoosh on a shoe or the Apple on a laptop? I mean, sure, those are the parts we see, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. The real power of a brand, that lies way, way beneath the surface.
So here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we're gonna figure out what a brand actually is, beyond just the logo. Then, we'll look at the blueprint for how you build one. After that, we'll see how brands have to keep moving and evolving to stay alive. And finally, we'll get to the ultimate payoff, why a strong brand is one of the most valuable things a company can ever own. Okay, section 1, more than just a logo. Let's really get past the surface level stuff and dig into what a brand's true purpose and power are all about. If you look at the official definition, it points to two absolutely critical functions. The first one is to identify, to basically just say, hey, this is from us. Simple enough. But the second one is to differentiate, to explain why this thing is not like all the others. So think of it as both a beacon pulling you in and a boundary keeping all the competitors out.
And a brand's power, it really flows in two directions. For us, the consumers, it's a mental shortcut, right? It makes our choices easier, it reduces that feeling of risk when we're buying something, and sometimes it even becomes part of who we are. But for the company, it's a hugely powerful asset. It gives them legal protection, it builds a loyal fan base, and in the end, it secures future profits. It's a promise that works for both sides. And you can actually put a number on that value. It's called brand equity. This is the cold, hard financial figure. It's the extra cash value on a company's balance sheet that comes purely from its name and its reputation. This is the tangible dollars and cents worth of trust. And you can bet it's the number that CEOs and investors are watching very, very closely. But then there's brand power. If brand equity is the value in the bank, brand power is the value in our minds. It's the reason that two products that are pretty much identical can feel completely different to us, just because of the logo on the box. This is the intangible magic, the secret sauce that marketers obsess over, and it's what really shapes how we feel and what we choose.
Hello, this is Prof. Bong, and our logo is to transform, to help you come from your triangle of the white comfort zone to your full potential. For our coaching clients, Transform is committed to help deliver people, profit, and planet the triple bottom line.
Okay, on to section 2. So we know what a brand is, but how do you actually go about building one? Let's take a look at the blueprint, the essential tools and strategies you need to construct a brand right from the ground up.
So the most obvious parts of any brand are its brand elements. You know, the name, the logo, the jingle, the mascot. These are the hooks that grab our attention. But choosing them isn't just about being creative. There's a really clear strategy behind the ones that stick around.
In fact, there's a 6-point checklist for this. You can think of it in 2 parts. The first 3, memorable, meaningful, and likable, that's your offense. That's how you win over customers. The last 3, transferable, adaptable, and protectable, well, that's your defense. That's what makes sure the brand can grow, change with the times, and be legally protected for years to come.
But look, even the best brand elements aren't enough on their own. A brand can't just exist in a bubble. It has to connect with the world. And the way it does that is through secondary associations, basically by strategically linking itself to other things to kind of borrow their credibility, their coolness, or their prestige. So how does a brand borrow meaning? Well, it could link itself to a country, like when you think of Swiss watches or Italian fashion. Or it might team up with another trusted company, get a big celebrity endorsement, or sponsor a massive sporting event. Every one of these links is a transfer of meaning, weaving that brand deeper and deeper into our culture. Now, when a company gets bigger, it hits a major fork in the road. Does it become a house of brands like Procter & Gamble, where every product, like Tide or Pampers, is its own unique brand? Or does it go the branded house route, like Google, where everything, Maps, Drive, you name it, lives under one single powerful brand? These are 2 totally different ways to build a brand empire.
And that brings us right into section 3, brands in motion. See, you can't just build a brand and then walk away. The world is changing constantly, so a strong brand has to be a living, breathing asset that's always ready to adapt if it wants to survive. So how do brands actually evolve? Well, there are 2 main paths. Brand repositioning is all about changing a brand's core meaning, maybe to go after a completely new audience. And then you have brand extension, which is when you use the trust you've already built to launch something new under that same familiar name. Now, if you want to see just how radical branding can get, we have to talk about the Japanese retailer Muji. Their entire philosophy is built on an idea that seems to go against everything we've just talked about, the concept of having no brand at all. And this is where we get the no brand paradox. By totally rejecting logos and flashy marketing, Muji accidentally created one of the most recognizable and powerful brand identities in the entire world. Their simple, uniform, brandless look is their brand. It's just proof that in a world that's constantly screaming for our attention, sometimes the most powerful statement is a quiet whisper. And all of this leads us to our final section, the ultimate payoff. I mean, after all this work, what's the end game? Why do companies pour so much time, money, and energy into building a brand? It really all comes down to this. A strong brand isn't just some fluffy marketing idea. It's a rock-solid, valuable piece of legal property. It's an asset that drives loyalty, influences our choices every day, and provides real financial security for a company's future. So ultimately, a great brand builds a fortress around a business. It commands intense loyalty from its customers. It justifies a higher price tag. It creates a barrier that keeps competitors at bay, and it secures revenue long into the future. That is the real power of a brand. So I'll leave you with this final thought. Think about a brand you truly love, one you would recommend to anybody in a heartbeat. What is the fundamental promise that brand is making to you? And more importantly, why do you believe it? The answer to that question, that's the heart of everything we've talked about today.